Is your air conditioner covered in black mold like mine? Don't throw it out. I think I got a solution for you guys. Stay tuned. Now, for those of you guys that follow me and watch my channel, you already know I'm a big fan of SuperClean, and I use it around the shop and all the machines, and it really has the muscle to kind of get the job done. In this world, right, lawnmowers, small engines, you got grease, you got lawn junk, right, you got all that organic matter, and this is the stuff that cuts it. But mold is organic matter as well, and this is an older air conditioner, and so here's the setup, right? I went to use it last night. I put it in, window air conditioner. I actually keep it in, one of the rooms upstairs. So, and I'm like, well, it got a little bit late. I'm like, you know what, let me clean the filter. And so I took off the cover and I looked at the filter, and it was fuzzy black mold. Now, I'm going to get you guys in close. We're going to look a little deeper. We're going to do a little comparison. I'm not going to attempt to try to take this thing all apart. If some of you guys know me, I would do that, but this is geared for the average person. Now, here's the setup, right? You might be thinking, you know what, let me get it now. Let me get a new one now, right? The prices are going up. Everything's going up. You would be wise to do that. However, if money is tight, right, we can clean this. Now, you might be asking, well, what about all the electronics, Arch? Well, yes, there's some electronics in here, and there's some electronics in the front face. Now, we want to try to keep the SuperClean and the water away from that as best as we can. But I got a beautiful day. It's a little bit of a late start, but I only need about 2 hours outside on a breezy day like this on a warm spring or very early summer day. It's an early June day. Couple of hours, and we're going to move it around a little bit and make sure all the water goes out of it. So that is a word of caution. Now, the other setup scenario here is, if you're like me, right, and you're concerned about your health, I'm getting older, I got some health issues, I really don't want to use this, all right? It's black mold in it, and not all black mold is deadly, but listen, I think we all know you don't want to be breathing in what this thing has to offer you. And you might just say, let's throw it out. All right, good. You got a couple of bucks, or you got a little bit of room on your credit card. Great. Hold on. All right, try this first. Let's grab some SuperClean. We're going to bring this outside. We're going to wash it a little bit and wet it down with the hose. Try to be careful. We're going to get in wherever we can. And then we're going to load it up with SuperClean for about 15-20 minutes. Maybe two washes if it's really bad and it's fighting us. Get everything out, and then we're going to set it outside to dry, preferably in the sun. I've got a spot in the front or in the back, so that's what I'm suggesting to you guys. Now, if it blows up, right, we're going to, in a safe way, we're going to start this machine up later on after we feel that we've dried it off pretty good. We're going to start up in here or maybe outside, right? We're not going to plug it in. If you do it correctly, right, you're not going to get hurt. It's not going to be a problem. These things are made to be in somewhat wet environments, and usually the electronics is covered. Now, if you have an older air conditioner, even better, right? Those things are mechanically actuated. A lot of it is sealed, and what's not sealed, it doesn't really care. Even if it sparks a little bit, believe me, I've done this for years, so it's not an issue. We want to get it dry. And again, if it blows up, all right, it's not going to blow up. I use that term, but it's not going to be like a nuclear explosion, right, with the thermal cloud and all that, and the mushroom cloud. It's not going to do that, okay? It's just not going to work. And so then you're going to go out and buy a new one. And what did you waste? A little bit of time. You have to take it out anyway out of the house, maybe your window, wherever you have it in the closet. And you're going to have to put it to the curb or give it to somebody, whatever. You're going to have to go through those motions anyway. Let's skip some of these steps and just see if we can get this thing sort of cleaned up so it's usable again. It might work well for you for many years to come. I have a few of them that I've already done that with, and I've got more that I need to do. So I want to get started on this one. Now, a couple of other words of caution, some things we want to be careful of. There's fins back here. I see they got a little mangled. Sometimes my family members are not as careful as I am. I can straighten some of those out. I have a tool for that. I've worked in the HVAC field for many years. I don't currently work in it, but I worked in there for, I don't know, close to about a decade, maybe more. I did mostly control systems, so I essentially made control systems for HVAC, heating, ventilating, and air conditioning for big rooftop units and custom homes, and control systems even for TB rooms, tuberculosis rooms in the city. So I kind of have a good feel for what these things will tolerate and how long we need to go. So we want to be careful of the fins in the back, and we want to be careful of the fins in the front. This is just a rule of thumb when you're storing it. You don't want to puncture it. If you puncture one of these fins, not so much the fin, behind the fin is a tube. The tubes are pressurized. The pressure goes up a lot when it's running, and when it's down, it has a static pressure, definitely way above, atmosphere. So if you puncture it or damage it, it will leak, and then it's no good. So we want to be careful of that. Now, other than that, right, there's not much else to worry about. And the last thing is, I want to say it now in case I forget. Once we're done cleaning this thing, we're going to be putting it in different positions. And what happens with that is there's oil in the compressor system. That oil is going to be displaced. In other words, it's not going to be in the place it's supposed to be in. And a general rule of thumb, when you buy a new air conditioner, it's the same thing. You should leave it someplace for about an hour, install it maybe in the window or in your wall, however you're doing it, and for about a half hour to an hour, just leave it in the normal install position like this. It's sitting flat on a table. Walk away. And about a half hour later or so, that oil will dribble down. I don't know how long. It depends upon how much it's been jostled around and how big the unit is. And then you plug it in and turn it on. Okay? And you should be fine. So let's get started on this, and I'll show you what I like to do to these things. We're going to get it nice and clean. We're going to test it. Sounds like fun, right? Does this sound like a plan for you guys? Maybe you can save a few bucks, and you're not going to get hurt. And if it dies, right, would you really want to use this? Let's get some close-up shots of this and see what's going on with it. See all the black mold? That's black mold. See it? And it's inside. It's on the front. It's all over, right? And you might say, well, it's absolutely no good. No, we can get most of that out. Now, if you took it all apart, you can get every last bit out, but we're going to neutralize it. Now, you can use bleach, okay? But this is a base as opposed to an acid. And bleach is a base as well, okay? So it's very similar. And then we're going to finish up later on with the all-wheel cleaner here, because this is an acid. It's got uric acid, what have you. So we'll finish up with that acid, and that should brighten them up a little bit. Now, I do have a thing that can straighten these fins. Hopefully they're not a problem. You want to be real careful. See, it's starting to get soft down here. That happens to the fins. So there's still plenty of life left in it. It's a frigid air. Now I'm going to start off with flooding everything with the hose. I like to get everything wet and get whatever the bulk of the junk rinsed out of the way, and then we'll apply the product. I'm going to turn it on its side because I can get in from this side. I'll show you. And you can also pour it out from that side as well. So we're going to kind of do both. For those of you that know, right, this is my favorite spot to clean. I like this table because it just drips right here. All right, now I'm going to let it drain for a little bit because I don't want too much water in it. I'll let it drain. We'll dump it in a few different directions just to make sure everything's out. See all that? I'm going to start off with just the regular SuperClean. Dissolves grease super easy, super fast. Because I want to just wet everything down. And this will wick in. I got a brush, right? So we can kind of work it a little bit. Right, it's gonna. This stuff is just gonna come right off. Try to get in everything. Believe me, it'll work its way in. We don't need a lot. I'm gonna leave it sit in this position for a bit, and then I'm going to turn it and put a little bit more on. Now I'm going to go with the foamy. We'll use our brush just to hit a few areas. You'll see when we're done. We're not going to rinse it until I turn it and try to get more product in on a few different sides. And this nice gentle brush will help move things out of the way. No pressure washer needed. Don't do it. It's not worth it. Unless it's really bad. See, there's more water coming out as it drains. Just trying to let that product kind of work its way down. Yeah, I can see. It's working. I think, is there a stream? Yeah. That stream is going to help. Run a little low. Want to get it in this air duct. Yeah, that's great. A little bit more foamy action. And this will neutralize. If you miss something, it doesn't matter, right? Because it's going to neutralize the mold. So it's gonna kill it. And basically, you're disinfecting it. So even if there's still a bit of staining left, it's not going to be active mold. All right, let's leave it be for a little bit. Okay, it's been about 6 minutes because I don't want to let it dry. So we'll turn it this way and just let gravity, do our job. You want to put some glasses on in case, it's windy, so you don't want to get it in your eyes. But as long as you have a way of rinsing it out, yeah, having it on the stream to get in, that's nice. Oh yeah, this is cleaning up good. One more time, because I just rinsed these off with the hose last night, but this is going to get it nice and clean and disinfected. Like I said earlier, this is like a bleach. It's in the same family. I have a little bucket of some water. I just wash my gloves off, and when we're done, we actually want to wash off the containers that we're spraying with, because we don't want to leave residue on those either. And now, a word from our sponsor. So you guys might be thinking, what's in this product, right? And I know a lot of people have made comments over time, me using this product. I've just seen it in general. A lot of people think acid. Like I showed you, the last stuff that we put on there is a uric acid. It's got some other acids in it too. It's the acids that comes out of urine, right? It's also used, acids like that are used in DEF, diesel exhaust fluid. This is a base. It's not an acid. It's caustic. And so it's sodium, let's see here. Sodium hydroxide and sodium metasilicate. Sodium, salt, right? That's very similar to those of us that live up north. We salt our roads on occasion. So it's environmentally, I want to say safe. I want to say friendly because, trees and bushes and plants and flowers are safe, right? Are environmentally friendly, right? That's really the thing. This is safe because it's a salt, right? So you'll see things like sodium hypochlorite. That's essentially bleach, things that contain the chlorine atom. This one does. I don't think it has any. Let me see. They're not going to tell you everything. So it's a hydroxide. So the hydroxy ions that are in here, but there's no chlorine in it. Now chlorine is actually more toxic because chlorine doesn't really exist in nature by itself. It has to be. It wants to attach itself to something. And so that's your bleach, but it's very similar to that. It's going to have the same action. I spilled old motor oil all over myself the other day, down my pants and everything, moving a motor around, and of course, in this world right here, everything is grease. It's greases, it's biological material, dried grasses and everything. And I threw it in a bucket with some just regular detergent, a bit of bleach. And I actually sent a picture over to my friend Liz, and she goes, "What did you do? Poop in your pants?" I said, No. I spilled it all over. And it got white and gross and slimy in that area. It was literally right down. So I put it out on the table out there, and I put some SuperClean on and let it sit, and I hosed it off, and now it's in the dryer, right? I'm doing some regular wash. So just for some ideas of what you guys, what this is and what you can use it for, it's not just for what I use it for. I use it for a lot of things. Again, similar, it's a salt-based kind of thing, so it is on the scale of base, not acid. And essentially, if you look to see where I'm working out there, and those of you that follow my channel, you know I love to clean stuff out there. Notice the grass is fine, right? It's nice and green, it's getting tall, I need to cut it again. That's why I say it's kind of environmentally safe, environmentally friendly, and you're rinsing it, you're diluting it so much. We used to say when I was in chemistry, you know, the solution to pollution is dilution. So it's pretty safe. Getting it on your hands, wear gloves, trying to get it in your eyes. I didn't want it on my good cameras because it can attack the special coatings on the lenses, so I use a cheaper camera for, you know, doing work like that, and keep the good cameras, you know, away from products like this, away from greases, away from anything really that could potentially damage fine things. It won't really affect the plastics that are on there, or a lot of plastics. So it's very useful. Drano, oven cleaner, same vein of product. This is actually recommended for cleaning kitchens and ovens and grills and your barbecue. It's also, a lot of people use it in the food industry to clean up the, you know, the professional commercial kitchens, get things nice and clean. There are products that are a little bit stronger for that, right? But this is really, really useful. And just to show you, towards the end, I used one of the newer products that they have out, which is more of a rim cleaner. It gets rid of, because of the acids in it. Now, acids act on minerals. Acids won't really act. You'd have to have a very high molality acid, very, very strong, in order for it to really dissolve skin and flesh. It's kind of a myth, right? It needs to be really acidic, and you wouldn't want to be anywhere near that. Whereas this could be fairly strong. Lye, your soap, bar soap, very similar kind of thing. Years ago, they made soap. It was rendered from animals, animal fats and stuff. That's why it dissolves animal fats and greases and things of that nature, proteins, because essentially coming from that. So they would render soap. They would use it in the wash. And still to this day, mostly all those soaps, they're not acidic. They have to be base. And that's why they clean so well. And if it's mild, you know, Dawn, right? Think about Dawn. Dawn is very strong in a way because it does such a great job. But you can get it on your hands. It'll dry your hands out. All the ladies will tell you they want to wear gloves, right? Because it just can dry them out. But it won't hurt you. So we'll be back in a minute, and let's finish up. All right, one more flip. Now, one of the things you can do, by the way, guys, is you can keep this product wet, and it will still work, by just misting. And I'll show you what I mean. Oh, I can really get in here. All right, I'm just about ready to use up this whole bottle here. Mostly, like I said, I want to get in here. So we'll come back in a minute, and I'll show you what I mean. You just mist it with the hose. Turn it on like low pressure, light spray. You know, not even a spray, like a mist. And especially if you're working on something that is just a surface. Obviously here, right, you're going to wind up flooding. We're going to have to flood it. But if you're working on something that's just a surface, like something like this, and you want to keep that product activated a little bit longer, a light mist. Another thing is to come back with a spray bottle of just water, right? And just mist it lightly, and it'll keep that product activated and working for you. We'll be back in about 3 minutes for a final wash, and then we have the last cleaning to do. All right, let's rinse it off. Now, like I said, just rinse the bottles off, right? You don't want residue, especially the steel top. Now this is the aluminum mag wheel cleaner. Very good for getting rid of any like little bit of oxidation. You can see these coils are starting to already get nice and clean. But we're going to put a little bit more on and walk away. This will make sure that the coils are nice and clean. And it does disinfect too a little bit because it's an acid. All right, give it about 10 minutes. I see we have some aluminum damage back here, and that's just rot. It's gonna happen, but I don't see any damage to the actual coil. It's the fins. But that should be it. All right, last rinse. It's windy out here and it's drying, so I'm gonna move it. It's been out here for a while. I'm gonna move it, let the sun get at another position and make sure it's draining by turning it like we did on the rinse table. I think this is the drain hole and it's still like a leaf stuck there, but it's clean. I'm gonna leave it sit here like this for a little while. And again, see, you want to just be careful of this. So you see, it's me that's messing it up. We're gonna fix that. Just put a piece of cardboard. Now I happen to have this little tool. Comes in a sleeve, right? You get these different sizes for different, fin types. And the one that's already loaded on there, and I just kind of taped it on a bunch of years back. That's close enough, right? So you see it gets a little mashed. This is all mashed. So I'm just gonna rake it. It's called raking. And although these are a little bit tweaked, right? They kind of have like a Z pattern to them from the factory, but that's okay. Right? We're just gonna unmash them, straighten them out, and you don't need to do all of them. See how that just kind of clean them right up. If that happens, it happens professionally. That's why we have this tool. So I'm just going to go over these real quick, and you can see it's definitely opening them back up again. See? All right, be back in a minute. Okay, all cleaned up. Everything is good. I just, it's a plastic tool. Okay, you can get these on Amazon. Of course, I've had it for years. I got it from my HVAC supplier. And so now the air can pass through. This is the hot side, or the condenser side. The other side's your evap. And this is the side that gets hot. And it gets hot. Essentially what it's doing is pulling the heat out of the room and putting it to the outside. And yes, you see damage down here. That's why the thing that we're really worried about is the tubes, but they should be okay. These are very thin ribs or fins. And that's, Frigidaire is a great product, but it's, this is not industrial commercial. This is your homeowner variant, and that's where they're going to kind of cheap out. There's a lot of them, so we get good heat transfer, and that's why we want the air to be able to move. And I'd say that's ready to go. All right, we're ready for a preliminary test, right? We're going to do our test. We're going to let it run for a while. Now, first thing is we're going to plug it in. Now, normally this thing would beep when I plug it in. It'll just make a bit of a beep, so let me shut up. Okay? And I'll get a display, and it'll go off, all right? Now this says about 86, it's about what it is. It's coming down, it's stabilizing, and that tip is just a little bit damaged. And we're getting about the same reading over here as I show that on the other camera in a close-up. So what I want to do now, and this is the end of the day, it's been sitting in this position for quite some time. It sat outside while it was drying, and it also sat in here while I was working on the fins. So we should be able to just fire it right up. Okay, that's 70. Now, we're going to just drop it down a little bit. And we're going to wait a little while. I don't hear the compressor kick on yet. In the 80s, dry day like today, but very windy. Rain last night. We'll probably see about, generally speaking, you see about a 20-degree drop. That's about all you get from most of these types of air conditioners. A 20-degree differential from whatever the ambient is in the room, right, to whatever you can push out. It's already down to 84, 83. So she's cooling. I can feel it. All right, we're going to let it run for a little bit. We'll be back. Make sure everything's okay. Okay, down to 82. I just heard the compressor kick in. And I'm getting about 81 degrees. And let's see. That's about 81 in here. That's correct. We're going to leave this over here. I'm also getting about 35% humidity in the room right now, right? If you can see that. Now in the room here, you should be able to see that. I can't see it on the camera, but it's 36, 35.7, very low humidity. And of course, it's going to really drop the humidity down here. And I feel it. Oh, yeah. And like I said, this isn't particularly powerful. It's on high, on cool. Thermostat set to 67. Everything looks good. I hear it running smooth. Okay, I'm going to let it run a little bit longer just to make sure everything's good, and we'll be back. She's coming down quick. Look how quick it's coming down as I have the sensor placed over there. All right, but wait till you see it over here. It's going up. See? And that's just a little the sound of it, right? Quiet. That's off, but it's quite cool. Still coming down, 67. Turn off that light. Okay. That's this one. So it'll keep coming down. Right, like I said, about 20 degrees is what you'll get. So about 80 in here. And you get down to about 60 or so, 62, 63. That's once she settles in. Remember, she's pushing heat out in the same environment that it's trying to cool. You can actually see a bit of frost down in here. I touched it and it stopped, but oh yeah, it's cold. There's water forming on it from the humidity in the air. Okay, it's been running for a while. Everything says it's running good. We're going to shut it off. Oh, that's nice. All right, we'll be back in a minute. Now somebody might be thinking, oh, you could get sick from Legionnaires. No, not really. That's not what'll get you. This mold, the nastiness in there, it's going to be blowing all over if it's in your bedroom, it's going to be blowing all over your bedding. And into your clothes, on your pillows. Yeah, that's not good. Now, Legionnaires, there's big water towers, especially in the cities, urban. They have these big water towers, and the water cascades over the condenser, the hot part, to cool it. And it increases the efficiency, but at some point it returns into a trough of water, and very often they're open, and well, we got pigeons and birds, and their excrement goes in there, and it can sit, and that's what causes a lot of diseases. You can actually clean that, or you can treat it. There's tablets and things that you can put in there, and chemicals that release over time, or that will kill it immediately. Generally, they don't evacuate the water, but that can be done too. Another thing is obviously filters, filtration, HEPA filters and whatever. There can be things that go in, that find their way into the ducting systems of a lot of these sick buildings. They always call it SIDS, or sick building syndrome. They don't talk much about that anymore. I don't know why. With the CVED and everything, they really didn't even talk about that. HEPA filters won't really grab viruses. They're too small. They might grab, you can get stuff caught in filtration over time, but ultimately these particles are super small. It's these bigger particles, right? This is a big problem. And for some people, they're very allergic. So hopefully that was helpful for you guys. You can see everything is working good. You can actually see that there was a bit of there's like a blue anodizing or iodine on the front coil, the evap coil, and that's back. You can see it. It's very nice. Looks nice and clean. Back here, there's a little bit of damage, and it should have been cleaned more often. And I guess I didn't clean it last year. Maybe I worked on another one. I got another one to do this weekend for my daughter, and I think this one came out good. And you guys shouldn't have any problems. If you have any questions, drop me a little message in the comments area, and I will see you guys on the next one.